the people who say they're the most American are literally praising traitors.
Yeah.
To America.
People who literally separated themselves from the U.S., gave themselves a different name, and then fought against the
literal
U.S.
traitors. They're traitors.
They're traitors to the institution that you praise. So are you truly praising our institution? Or are you praising, whatever the Confederacy wanted? And
y'all seen this one tweet? It said the Cleveland Browns won more than the Confederacy. Facts.
It's facts. It's actually facts. It is. And my
Confederacy is 0-1.
Yeah, my thing with the Confederacy and the Confederate flag is like it represents. I would never. Let's say that there was something that black people could wave around, which we can't, but we can talk about that later. Yeah. But let's say we had something that we could wave around, like a flag, the fist, maybe. Right?
Yeah, black fist on the flag.
Black fist on the flag, right? Yeah. Should be a thing. Anyways,
new products coming soon.
New products coming soon. So, let's say we're waving around that flag, but we wave around that flag after a war has been lost or whatever. And what we were fighting for was like something like superiority.
Yeah.
Scary stuff to people, of course. Yeah. But for us, it means something. So we continue to wave it around. But to others, it hurts them.
Yeah.
Because it reminds them of something that was very terrible part of our history.
Yeah.
Well, I would personally, out of respect and just value for other people, and especially in a chase for equality and equal treatment, not put up my flag like that, right? Like, and first of all, technically, and I made a bad analogy, because technically their Confederate flag isn't theirs. Because there are white supremacists who aren't from the South that continue to wave around that flag. So what are you claiming?
It's really just about... I mean, as much... Because, like, some of these Southern... There are Southern institutions that have been pushing this idea that, like, the Confederacy was not that bad. It was really just about states' rights. When you think about it, it's like...
That's what people in the South learn in their history books.
I'm saying, like, states' rights to do what? Like,
own
slaves! Like, come on.
You wouldn't have been fighting that hard. It was $1 billion company.
Yeah, it was the economy.
It was so, lucrative of a terrible, twisted business that the South was making much, much more money than the North.
Yeah.
And so when you see, the other half of your country making much more money than you, money is power. So what are you going to do? You're going to check that power.
Facts.
And fortunately, they had the industrial, the industrial resources to kind of overpower the South.
Yeah.
But had they not,
we'd be living in a whole different world.
And that's the scary part of it. You wave around this Confederate flag, these people who lost, but why do you wave it around? Because you wish they won? Because you still believe in what they fought for?
And these are the same people that tell me, oh, if you don't like America, just go home. If you're still waving around that flag, get out, because y'all lost.
And it's not even like that. It's like, go home. You brought me here. What you mean, go home?
What you mean, go home? But I mean, like, the one thing I was reading is, like, we have this, lots of Americans have this, fascination with, like, the American flag. I mean, the Confederate flag, or, like the Nazi, like, you got neo-Nazis here, and it's like, if you take, like, a page out of the book in, like, Germany, like the Nazis, you will not see a Nazi flag being praised in Germany
at all.
Like, they are so ashamed of that part of their history that they've expunged it from its current existence. Like, you can't even do the Heil Hitler or whatever. Hail Hitler.
Yeah.
You can't even do that in Germany. Like, it's against the law, and it's like, for us to still be holding on to such a dark part of our history is like, it's crazy. And it's seen, through all these statues and all the statues coming down now. I mean, like in Germany, they will never make a Hitler statue in Germany. Never.
You're right.
After all the stuff that they've done, after all the pain that they've caused, they are not putting a statue up. And then we got a statue for the General of the Confederacy in Virginia.
Some of the biggest slave owners have statues in the hoods of the South. And it's like, in these places where primarily black people live, what are you doing? You're trying to reassert that you have power and dominance.
Dominance.
Are you trying to, scare us into conforming into some type of way that you thought was right in history? Like I personally think that all these, these men that we praise, these white men that we praise that own slaves in any type of way. Look, bro, if I did something great, actually, this is what I hate. This is what I hate America for. Actually, you know what I'm saying? You hate on somebody great. About to be very controversial right now. Let's bring up Bill Cosby, right? Very controversial person, right? Now, he, no doubt, was a great comedian, right?
Fact. I mean, he was American's dad at one point.
Exactly, right? You know what I'm saying? He did something foul. You know what I'm saying? He did some messed up things to plenty of women and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, terrible things.
And got canceled instantly. And of course it took some time legally, but bro was definitely canceled.
I'm saying, like, at least for Bill Cosby, it's like point of no return.
Yeah, like, so, and we can bring up a few other people they tried to take down because of that. They even came after Jimmy Fallon for blackface, right?
I mean, Jimmy Fallon, that man is invincible.
Yeah,
that man got.
You see though,
but I mean, it depends on like I guess a lot of the con. I mean, because it's like Bill Cosby. I don't know how many women it was, but it was like could fill up like probably a football team.
Yeah,
it's like
I can count on my hands and toes.
Yeah, I'm saying it's like
hands and toes.
But I mean, I guess at least for somebody like Jimmy Fallon or something like that, I can see where like the difference would be. Like Jimmy Fallon, no blemishes. And it just has like one issue, as opposed to like Bill Cosby, who used his stature to continue to get stuff.
Right. So let's take it with Cosby, right? You know what I'm saying? And let's assume that black people are equal as white people for a sec, and let's play with that idea, and let's go over to George Washington. Now we praise George.
Yeah, facts.
George has some slaves.
Facts.
Right? But everybody's quick to defend those men.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is, treat those men how you're treating everybody you come after currently now. Because the men you come after currently did their stuff in the past. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not advocating or defending them. I'm saying treat people on a consistent basis. Like, yo, we're doing these things. We're coming after people. Come after these people, bro. These people have done wrong, and we praise them. Like, it's not even like I watched their show. No, we praise these men. I mean,
why do you make statues?
Yes.
You make them for people to literally look up to.
Yes.
And if you have all these statues of all these slave owners, all of these, I mean, really being in that system means that you murdered, you separated families. A lot of the times you ended up sexually abusing these slaves, mentally abusing these slaves. And it's like, and then what? You gonna get a statue after that?
Yeah, and then we don't treat them equally. Like, we don't give them the same type of treatment that we would give people who, if they did something like that now. And I'm confused as to why. Why do we have to make exceptions to people who well, they died a long time ago. They did what they did. Yeah, but we still praise everything that they did. If he didn't get a statue for he wasn't, George Washington and people like that, they weren't praised for the stuff that they did. They were praised as men, as idols, as, these people who constructed a great, democracy or, attempt to make one. Like, they're literally all we talk about, right? Our founding fathers, our etc. Okay, well, if one of our founding fathers, two of our founding fathers, all of our founding fathers did something that discriminated against an entire group of people and wrote to continue to keep them, oppressed. It's like, I don't think we should praise them anymore. We should definitely recognize the great things that we did.
Yeah.
But take down their statues. Because I know people who have not discriminated against anybody, only fought for the equality of people, of their people, and to also inspire other people to fight for their equality. But I don't see their statues everywhere.
I saw, I guess they did, like, the famous picture of, like, all the founding fathers all in the place. And they had, like, a dot over everyone that was a slave. Yeah. I mean, slave owner.
Yeah.
And, like, the only one that didn't have a dot was, like, Ben Franklin. The room of, like, 50 delegates or whatever it is, every single one owned slaves. And it's like, for the people that are saying, like, how could they be tearing down our founding? Like, for African American, if you think about it, for African Americans, the founding fathers did the bare minimum when writing the Constitution. The bare minimum. Legit, the reason why slavery is not in the Constitution, I mean, besides like the amendments later, but the reason it's not in the Constitution is because, I mean, they really wanted to make this new idea, this new country. The southern states really wanted slaves, and it was like, well, how are we going to be united and fight against England if we're not united here? So pretty much they just dismissed slavery. All right, we'll figure it out later. I mean, so there were definitely people who did not want slaves and definitely people who did want slaves. But the people who didn't want slaves brushed it by.
Yeah. And
was like, all right, y'all deal with it later.
And my thing is like, I don't want to take away from those people who you know, those white abolitionists and all these really great, but I don't see them praised.
I don't see their statues.
As much, you know, I don't know as much about them. You know what I'm saying?
You're not taught about them.
And it's hard for people who know nothing about those people to see all the white men at that time as, you know, not everybody was, you know, necessarily bad. The same way why it's kind of hard for some people now to see all police officers as good when you see so many bad ones.
You see so many bad ones.
Same thing for maybe white perception of, you know, African Americans. You see people who do these things. You've set up a system where, you know, it's easy for these people to commit these crimes, right?
Yeah.
But you see them and you see them as criminal. That's the first thing that you think. So what we need to start doing is truly looking at not grouping so many people in at once and really looking at the people who have contributed to positive efforts for not just white people, not just black people, but all people. You know
Facts.
What I'm saying? I think that is very important, and I do think that these statues need to be torn down.
I mean, it's just really about, I guess, following that German model of really expunging the history and like cleaning it.
That's all
It's not even just like forget it, because you can't. I mean, like, the one thing I've noticed is, like, could you imagine if they taught slavery like they taught the Holocaust? Like, can you imagine how different the perception would be? Like, you know,
if you could walk through the museum.
I'm saying, exactly. Like, we have the Museum of Tolerance for, like, or I guess that counts as, like, everything, really. But, I mean, I went on a field trip there to see, like, the Holocaust part of it. But it's like, could you imagine, like, in schools and stuff, you're taught that the Holocaust is, like, the worst thing. And it is terrible. But slavery is just as terrible.
And
it's lasting.
That's what I don't like, right? I don't like how we like to, you know, disconnect ourselves from everything that has happened in the past. America has a past that is messed up. Why don't we go in? Why don't we clean it?
Yeah, clean it, and not only that, but because I was watching this one thing, and it was like when like people visited Canada and went to like whatever museums they have or something, and there was like pretty much like a harbor where I think there was like a whole bunch of actually my uncle went to Canada, and there was a bunch of refugees from, I think it might have been from Japan. Regardless, it was a boat of refugees of war, and they were trying to find freedom, so they went up to Canada. It must have been Japan, because that's pretty close.
Yeah.
So pretty much they docked in this harbor, and the Canadians were like, nah, B, go home. Like, go back to war. And when my uncle went to the museum, they like walked them out to the whatever harbor and what it is, and then was like, this is where we messed up. Like, and there's like a big sign saying like, we're so sorry, blah, blah, blah. Like, where do you see that in America? Like, there is.
I've never seen it.
I'm saying, where do we see that? An apology from a country not only recognizing they did wrong, but knowing that they could have done better. Where is that in American society? Like, out of all the places where we've done wrong, like the Trail of Tears, like where is this American recognition? Because I mean, there's just so much pride that, you know, we are the greatest country ever made, blah blah. Like,